Good morning, everybody. We are back out in the shop here. We're taking a pause on the Mustang. We got a Jeep project, and this one I think is going to save a lot of you. So if you run the Snorkel on this like I do, once you install this thing, the airline comes off of here, comes up through the fender, and then down and around, and then comes up for your airbox. Well, as you know, right inside of here is where the windshield washer fluid goes. And pretty much everybody out there that runs a Cherokee, that runs the Snorkel, has to remove the windshield washer fluid. And today, I'm pretty sure, we found the fix for it. I will put the item down in the description. I don't have an Amazon affiliate account or anything, but I'll put the best description I can get that will get you over to that to the kit that I'm using. So if you're doing this, boom, jump on Amazon, get it. It's really cheap. I think it was like 20 bucks. I went with the one that pretty much is the most highly recommended one. And let me show you what we got. All right, so this here's the kit. Comes with the hose, all the hardware you're gonna need, the bottle. Now the bottle itself is just about a little bit bigger than a soda can, which I like because, real estate in the Cherokee compartment is very tiny. So I went with the smallest bottle I could find. And it does come with instructions. I believe this here is the name of the company or the brand that I got it from. So if you're searching, just make sure it has that. Lots of instructions. We're not going to need any of this, but it's pretty basic stuff. Tells you how to do everything. My goal with this thing is to reuse the original hoses and use the factory button that's in the inside the Jeep, so that I don't have to plumb in all this extra stuff here. So let's go out here. We'll show you where we're planning on putting it and get tapping into this thing. All right, so we will have to remove the airbox just for now because all the wiring and everything is down in here. I did look. This connection is pretty much the same connection as the factory connection. So depending on how far we can chase the wire over, we will be able to reuse that. But my goal is to mount it somewhere down in here, and by mounting it I mean probably zip ties. So let's get this out and see what we got going on. Okay, so we got this apart now. You can see here's the main harness that goes to everything. So there's going to be two feed lines, because this actually is a dual motor for the washer pump, because you'll know that one of them is going to go to the rear hatch, but mine doesn't have that anymore because I took it off. So we're just going to have to figure out which one of these goes to the wipers. It does feed out through this wire harness all the way down through here. Now I am going to take all this apart, which I really didn't want to do, but if I don't need it, I'm just going to remove it now and get some of this mess out of the way. But if you're keeping yours and you do have the rear function still, just split it open, figure out which one's the front and rear, and then just wire it in through there. But I'm going to take care of this for right now, and we'll get back to putting the new one in. Alright, so now that we got both the lines, like I said, one of them's going to go to the front wipers, the other one's going to go to the rear. Easiest way to find out, I guess, is I don't hear anything up here. There we go. There's our front. This is our rear. Since we don't have the rear anymore, I will just cut this one out, and then we can just plumb into this one that goes to the front too. And then I believe this is going to be the power wire for it. And like I said, it looks like it's the same connection, so theoretically it should work. If not, we can just use their connection and then just splice into these. Your other ones are going to be for the rear motor and then the low washer fluid sensor, which this one I believe, yeah, this one does not have that, so we'll just cut that one out too. I haven't had a light on the dash since doing this with low washer fluid, but if it comes up, we can just yank the bulb out. But this, I mean, this is literally how it's been this whole time, and I haven't had the light come on. So yeah, we're just gonna continue to, I have to cut this open just to keep feeding this out, because I want to get it to back here so that it's just from here to here, and we can remove all this unnecessary stuff. So we'll keep on going. Alright, so we've really kind of torn into this thing, but we're cleaning things up nicely. So luckily, when I first tore this apart, I kept the old motors and everything. So I know that this sensor here, this wire, which actually back feeds all the way up to here, this is for the level sensor. So we're not going to need this one because the new bottle doesn't have one of these. So we'll just unhook that, set that aside. And then we have the two motors, which plug in, where'd they go? To these. So now the harness on the new one looks like this. It doesn't look like this. So I just verified that this one goes this. This must be for the rear, and then this one must be for the front, hopefully. But we'll test those with the multimeter and make sure we're correct. But we're really cleaning up the wiring, which is nice to get some of this out of here. Like all this hose, we don't need all this hose. So we can shorten this down and everything's gonna go good. And I found my old horn wire, which was unhooked, so we should have a horn again on this side. But everything's going good, so we'll just keep plugging away. Alright, so we're gonna test these. I'll test this one first to see if this is the one that goes to the front. Just got a little light up probe. We'll stick that in, I'll run the wipers, we'll see if she lights up. It's kind of disappointing. Let's hope it's not this one. Wrong one. Alright, so we know that this is for the front and this is for the rear, which is very disappointing, like I said, because the connection on the bottle actually matches this one, so that kind of sucks. But basically that means that we're just going to have to tap into this wire and then use the plug that came with this and just wire it into this. No big deal, but yeah, it just kind of sucks because, like I said, this one would plug straight in. So, oh well. Okay, so I have in fact verified that this hose is the one that runs the front. I poured some water in there and then blew through it, and it blew out these two nozzles. So we can now go ahead and remove this one, because like I said, this one runs to the rear and I'm not worried about it. So that one's gone. As far as the wiring goes, we are going to remove this one and the wires for it, because this one goes to the rear motor. This one here is the front, so we'll just kind of deadhead these wires and then connect in the new harness for the new bottle with the new motor. And you'll have to watch it because there's one feed wire of power goes to that one feed wire of power goes to this one, and then the ground off of this motor actually goes into the pigtail for this one, so we'll have to separate it and then just wire back into here. So, and then like I said, this wire here is the reservoir for the full and empty light to be on and off and all that stuff. So we won't need that. So we'll probably just cut this way down here and then just cap the wires off. Because like I said, we've never, since I removed this before, this hasn't been plugged in. I haven't had a light on the dash, so maybe the light was burnt out, who knows. But I'm not gonna need it, so we'll just go ahead and remove it. All right, so we're gonna clean up this wiring real quick. Got some, I like using this looming. Got this off Amazon, works really well. Gives it a clean look, so. Okay, so here's the breakdown of what's actually in the kit. Like I said, you have your hose, you got all sorts of hardware, and then you also have the push button, the nozzles, and then the separators to run it to both of them, or you just run it to one, whatever. So if you're going to do this on like an ATV or a side-by-side or something, this will work fine because there's your little push button, so it'll spray. As far as your wipers, whatever you got on your side-by-side or something. But for the Jeep, we're not going to need any of this stuff here, so that's all garbage. The hose, that's not going to need that, that's garbage. The only thing we need is this. We're going to clip this into the main motor on the new washer bottle, and then we'll hardwire this end to the factory harness in the Jeep. So everything should work the same way it did factory. So let's go out here and start wiring this up. So this is something else I'm pretty excited to try. These are the solder and heat shrink easy connectors. Got these, same thing, off Amazon. So they guarantee a watertight good connection, so we'll see how they work. Alright, so I wasn't too sure about these things, but once they harden, they seem to be okay. We know if there's a problem, this is where to check first. I like my old butt connector style with the heat shrink, but this is supposed to be an all-in-one with solder in here, and we'll see. I don't know, it's my first time using them, but once they harden up, it seems to be okay. So we'll test it out and see. But yeah, if there's ever an issue, this is where I'm going first. All right, so this is where it's going to be different between my install and your install. When I did my I replaced the booster and the master cylinder and the reservoir because my ABS system that was on here was absolute garbage and didn't work to begin with. So as you know, there's really not a whole lot of real estate in a Cherokee to mount things. So what I've done is I've wedged it right in here next to this. It's being held in right in there, and on the back side the hose back there. So I mean, it's in there. I might run a zip tie around it. It won't be pretty, but it's functional. And this is one of the things where this works for mine, it might not work for yours, but if the best location to do it is right here, that's where it's going to have to go. I thought about putting it over here on this side, but there's just not enough room, and I'd have to chase the wires from here all the way back across and then over to there. There is room over there probably to get the bottle in. You're just gonna have to move a bunch of stuff. So for my setup, this is gonna work good. I don't like the fact that I'm gonna just zip tie it down, but it is what it is. Right now I'm just gonna use the standard zip ties. I do have access to a lot bigger ones for holding more weight. So I'll just go ahead and run one of those around it. So other than that, the hose is on, tube connects right there. The factory hose does work. The size is perfect. It slides right on. And then here's my wire harness for it. Clips in very nicely. Cleaned up all the wires down in there. Got everything all plumbed back in. Saved you the trouble of watching me hassle with putting that in, but this is everything that we removed to do it. So just a lot of old tape and insulation, some wires. But this is everything that came out that was right down here where the old connections were. So I think we're back in action. We'll get this thing filled up and give it a test and see how it looks. And I'm really excited about this. I found the horn wire that was in there. So now I should have a horn on both sides. The other one was working very weakly because they had a lot of water in it. So yeah, let's get this thing filled up, see how good she works. All right, well, it's in there. Sketchy. I will change these out. I will either run, I have bigger zip ties, not here at the house, I just gotta go get them, that will support them more. It's a lot bigger and it'll hold that down. I mean, it's in there. The only thing I was thinking is I can probably come up with some kind of a bracket that mounts down here that runs up to the mount here, but we're just gonna kind of go with this for now. It really sucks because I got this big old harness here, which is all the old ABS stuff, and I know that I can probably just take cutters and cut this off, but I don't know, something about cutting out that huge harness that kind of freaks me out. So, but this is in, everything's back together. Let's hop in here and see how it works. This will probably be the part where I hit these and they spray like up over the roof, and then it's just a waste of time. But let's see how it does. Not bad. A lot of power to them. They do shoot up pretty high, but they work. It's nice to have that option back, trust me. Cool. Everything's all dry in here still, so we know it's got a good seal down there and she's not leaking. But there you have it. Alright, well, there you go. If you got a Jeep Cherokee and you've got a Snorkel on it, you know you had to remove the original washer fluid bottle because it actually goes in the fender. Here you go, 20 bucks. We can have our wipers back. We can see where we're going when we hit mud and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know. That's going to do it though. For 20 bucks, not a bad deal. Pretty easy install. I went a little extra and started cutting out all the old wires and all that. That's something you don't have to do. You can just cut it back and then plumb it in how you want it, but it is possible for 20 bucks to have your washer fluid back on your XJ. So you guys, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. We'll see you in the next video. We got more work going on. We're going to get back onto this thing. Got some cool stuff for that we're going to try out. And I do have a camp trip coming up for the Jeep. So more adventures are coming, trust me. But yep, you guys, as always, thanks again. I'll see you later.